Hey guys, Bobby from Mechanical Lines. Talking to customers as a tech. Um, we all know that, generally the service advisor or someone in the front is going to be talking to the customers, but there are going to be times where either the service advisor can't explain thoroughly enough to the customer what the customer wants to know. Most service advisors don't have the technical background that a technician does. They may not feel comfortable explaining it to it, and therefore they will need to find someone who can. And that may involve them coming to get you and you having to go out and talk to the customer. Um, Other times what will happen is when the customer is trying to describe a noise. They may not be able to give you the best description. You may have to go along for a ride with them, or you may have to question them yourself because your service advisor may not know the best questions to ask in order to figure out what information you need to figure out the problem. So there's a couple of things when you go out there and you have to talk to these customers, and you have to remember that they're not techs, they're not service advisors, they may have absolutely no technical background at all. So when you talk to them, you're gonna have to, especially if it's explaining a problem, you're gonna have to dumb it down a bit. Um, there's gonna be times where you're gonna talk to them and they're not gonna know anything about what you're talking about. Um, and you can try to relate it to something they might know, um, but when it comes down to it, sometimes you're gonna have to really go elementary school level on them, and that's not a bad thing. You cannot expect them to know the things you know. They're not in this field. Um, but yeah, one of the other things you're gonna have to worry about is when you get out there, find out what the advisors already told them. Talk to the service advisor beforehand. If the service advisor comes out and says, "Hey, I need you to come talk to this customer for me," find out what they already said, because the last thing you want is to tell the customer conflicting information that will lose the trust in the shop. They'll want to know why the service advisor is telling them one thing and the tech is telling them another. Most of the time, you're going to end up telling them the same thing but in a different way, but they're not going to know that. They're going to think that one of you doesn't know what they're talking about, and they're like, I don't know if I should have my car here. So that's super important. Get on the same page with the advisor. Make sure that when you go out there, you have a cohesive statement to talk to the customer. Next is be friendly. You are dealing with somebody who has a problem with their car that may cost them thousands of dollars to fix. Be, as Dave said in the service advisor class, be empathetic. Understand what their problem is, and understand that they may be in a bad place right now. They may have just got their car towed in. They may have just had something break on it. Who knows? Understand that they're not going to be in the best state of mind sometimes. Maybe they just were told you're going to have to spend $3,000 to fix your car, and they were not expecting that news. And so maybe they want clarification of a couple of things, and now you have to go out there and do that. Don't go out there with the attitude from the whole day. Don't be like, oh, this is such a waste of my time. Yes, would you rather be fixing cars? Is that what you're paid to do? Yes, you are paid to fix cars. It is the service advisor's job to deal with customers. However, there are times when you are going to have to suck it up and go out there and talk to them. Deal with it. You are now becoming another face of your shop. If you walk out there with an attitude, they're going to see it from a mile away. If you act like you don't want to be talking to them, if you talk down to them, if you feel like this is a waste of your time, and you show that to the customer, you could probably lose a customer very quickly. So, yeah, while it may not be your job, sometimes you have to take one for the team and go out there. And, what you're doing is you're helping your service advisor. You're going to help them explain to the customer, hey, this is what's going on. That can be huge. And showing that you're a unified team, yeah, I don't mind coming out and helping my service advisor. That can win you a lot of points with a customer to see, like, oh yeah, okay, these guys work together, and they're working together to help me understand what's going on with my car. Understand that the customer is trusting you in the shop to fix things and fix them properly. You're going to have to go out there and get as much information as possible. You don't want to interrogate them, but you want to make sure that you're asking pertinent questions. If it's a rotational noise, well, what speed does it happen at? If it's a squeaking noise, does it happen under braking? If it's a ticking noise, is it only in the morning when it's cold? Does it do it when it warms up? Things like that. But in the end, showing them that you can ask the right questions and you are actively trying to figure out what's wrong with their car, in the end, when they have to sign that $1,000 check, they're going to feel a lot more comfortable about it. If they are asking you questions, answer them honestly. Tell them what you know. If you don't know, don't lie. Don't BS them. Don't bluff them. Don't be like, oh, well, maybe something. That will make you look bad in front of the customer. They will lose confidence in you, and that's not a good thing. When it comes down to explaining stuff to them, stuff that they will not have any idea about, like I mentioned at the beginning, find a way to explain how these complex systems on a car work simplistically. You don't have to go into the nitty-gritty. Honestly, they probably don't care. Giving them a basic breakdown, and you should be able to get in your head very quickly a basic breakdown of, hey, this is what a braking system, this is how this works, and relate that to them. Most customers, when you explain something to them like that, their eyes will light up. They'll really enjoy the fact that you spent a little bit of time with them, and now they understand something about how their car operates. So that can be a huge plus for them. And I've had customers thank service advisors and have them go out and thank me and say, hey, thank you for having this person come out and explain this to me. It really helped. I really I understand a lot better what's going on with my car now. So that that's a huge thing. Let's see. Next thing is, if they are questioning what's going on with the vehicle, bring them out to the car. Sometimes the service advisor will want to do this anyway, but you can do it yourself. Say, hey, do you want to come see what's going on? That will buy you a lot of trust and a lot of confidence. Say, hey, yeah, let me show you this leak. Let me show you this this brake that's grinding. Let me show you where this noise is coming from. Let me show you this bad U-joint. Let me show you your bad tires. Tires are a huge thing that the customers do not understand why they need new tires. If, they look good, they're still holding air. A lot of customers, that's their criteria. My tires are holding air, why do I need to replace them? Going out there and being like, hey, this is, scalloping on your tread. This is the steel belts that are worn through. This is the broken belt inside that's causing this really bad steering wobble when you drive. Being able to actually show that to them and being able to talk to them intelligently about it and show them, hey, this is why we're telling you need to fix this. This is what can happen. When you get to that point, try not to scare them. You want to impress upon them the importance of doing these repairs. However, we do know a lot more about these cars than they do. And we know that certain components, when failed, can cause accidents. I do not recommend telling customers that. Let the service advisor or a service manager do that. You do not want to bring the customer out to their vehicle and send them back to the front end scared, because that sets off a whole different set of situation that can happen. They may want to just take the car and think you're just trying to scare them into a sale. They may go and trade the car in. I've seen that happen. But at the same time, you definitely want to impress upon them the importance that some of, especially safety things like brakes, tires, suspension components, get replaced. You just don't want to go overboard with it and, put fear into them. Tell them it's important. Tell them these are safety issues. Do not tell them that if you take this car out, you are going to crash into a tree and die. They do not want to hear that. You do not want to tell them that. So that's a huge thing. That sometimes we know a little bit too much. We don't want to give away the store to the customer. We know what we know, and we know how things interact with each other. They don't. So keep it simple. Say, hey, this is important. You need to do this, but when it comes down to it, don't go down that rabbit hole of saying like this could hurt you or someone in your family. That's, in my opinion, is a bad way to go. And lastly, if they're having trouble understanding the concepts that you're trying to explain to them about what needs to be repaired on their car, use analogies that they may be familiar with. Compare it to something maybe in their job field. Feel free to ask them, what do they do for work? Build those little bridges of communication there. It'll definitely buy you points with a customer for them to think, hell, they're interested in me, what I do. Oh, so you do this. Excellent. So, this kind of relates to that in a certain way. Or if you don't want to, use their job as an example, use things that we all run into on an everyday basis. Just help them understand the concept of it. You don't have to go into specific details. You don't need to tell them, well, the pad material is made up of this, and this, and then sometimes if it's the wrong temperature, or if it wasn't bedded in properly, and you can get noise, and you don't need to do that. It's not necessary. You tell them, yes, your brake pads are going, why are they squeaking? Well, the material they're made up with, sometimes it causes this. Sometimes there's, it's a manufacturing defect. That happens. Also, when you're talking to customers, be very careful what you say about your shop or other technicians in general. Don't throw shade on people. It's a bad idea. If they come out to you and the service advisor didn't tell them something that you really think the service advisor should have told them, don't get irritated. It's just a bad look. Just kind of swallow it and be like, okay, well, if they didn't explain it to you, I can explain it to you here. After the customer's gone, sure, go to the service advisor and be like, hey, why didn't you tell them this? You just made my life a whole bunch more difficult because you didn't mention this thing. They'll be like, well, you didn't write it down. And you're like, well, yes, it is. It's right here on the repair order. Save that for after the customer's gone. Don't do it in the middle of the service write-up area. Don't have those kind of conversations. Customers don't need to hear that. If you and your advisor are having a bad day together, which happens, all you want to do is, just both of you want to just go home. Don't let that bleed out into the service area. If you think you got to go in and talk to them, you think there's going to be a problem, pull the service advisor out of there. Like, hey, I talked to you about something. And then once you get the door closed, you can be like, blah, 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 and give them the third degree. Just make sure the customer can't hear you yelling through the doors, because that's happened too. And standing in a write-up area, looking at all the customers, looking at each other as they're hearing people yelling out in the service drive or out in the bays, not a good look. They know something's going on, and now all of them are all worried that it's something to do with their vehicle. So, and I've seen customers do this. They will go up and they ask the service advisor, are they yelling about my car? Sometimes customers will feel bad about that. They'll think, oh, my car's costing them a lot of trouble. Oh, now I'm embarrassed. No. Take that down the other end of the shop. You don't want to be anywhere near the customers when you're mad. It's a bad look. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Just treat them like they're human beings. They're not going to know what you know. They're not expected to know what you know. They don't have a $5,000 scan tool and a $20,000 toolbox and $100,000 worth of tools out there. They know their job, and they probably know their job way better than you would know their job. So when they come out and if they ask dumb questions, okay, they're looking for information. They're not expected to know this stuff. So don't treat them like they should know it. Anyway, I hope that helps some people. I know as a tech, sometimes it's really rough to go out there, and you really don't want to deal with a customer, especially after you've been slaving away on another car for 4 or 5 hours, and you are drenched in sweat and covered in grease and everything else, and suddenly you have to go out there and give me 5 minutes. You know what? Take that 5 minutes. Go clean yourself up before you go out there. That's not a bad thing. looking presentable, I mean, yeah, your shirt's probably still going to be covered, unless you can change it. If you got a spare shirt, go throw it on. You know, try to try to prevent the customer from thinking that you are less professional than you are. You are a professional. You just have been fighting with a car for 5 hours, and you might not look tip-top shape. It's not a bad thing. But if you can make yourself look a little bit better when you go out there, that it puts the customer at ease. Oh, there's a technician working on my car. There's not a mechanic, which I can go into a whole video about that too. And maybe I will. But for now, that's it. If you got any questions, if you need any advice, Dave Bonica just put on a great service advisor class. I suggest, even if you're not a service advisor, if you're a tech, take a look at it. It can get you an idea of what these service advisors are going through, and when you have to go out there and deal with a customer, it can give you great tips and tricks to be able to go out there and talk to them. Sometimes you might be the guy who gets that sale. Sometimes the service advisors, they can't close it. They don't know, and they send the customer out to you because they want to see something, and you instilling confidence that, yeah, I know what I'm doing. This is what's going on with your car. That could be the difference between them walking and them buying the repairs. So it can be worth it. But yeah, any questions, feel free to ask, and I'll talk to you guys later.